Hello, everybody, and welcome to the post-game show for the very first time in the 2024 Eagles season. And you know what? It was a preseason game, but what an ending it was. 13-all against the vaunted preseason Ravens. And Jake Elliott has a field goal to win the game, and he hits the upright. He misses after missing a PAT earlier in the game. And then on the very next play with 10 seconds left, Patrick Johnson comes screaming around the edge, forces a fumble, unbelievable play, and Jake Elliott gets a second shot at it and knocks home the 49-yard field goal to give the Eagles a win. Nick Sirianni's feeling good on the sidelines. Jamie, in your very long history as an Eagles fan, where does this one rank?
Oh, preseason games, this has truly been goated. This is the king of them all. That was exhilarating. What a finish. Patrick Johnson said, that's not the Jake Elliott I know. I got to go get that ball and give him a chance to win this game. And we were talking kind of backstage right before that play, and I jokingly said, I mean, if you're Harbaugh, you're going all go route, right? Like a Hail Mary. Let's bomb it here with 10 seconds because that man loves preseason football. And sure enough, that's what they do. They give Patrick Johnson an opportunity to make a play, and that's rough. They go from 24-1 in their last 25 preseason games to now 24-2, and John Harbaugh is probably going to lose some sleep tonight.
Rough night for undrafted rookie left tackle Julian Pearl, who are the Baltimore Ravens, who gave up that sack. Also one to Nolan Smith off the edge. Yeah, very interesting. Very cool ending for the Eagles. A feel-good start to the season. A nice little, pep in their step to propel them forward. Jake Elliott, I'm sure, will rue the miss, but appreciate the fact that Patrick Johnson gave him that second chance. Lots to talk about, Jamie. Your first time getting to see this 2024 Eagles team in action. A lot of new players I'm eager to get your thoughts on. We will hear from Zach Berman in a little bit from Baltimore. I'm guessing probably about 40 minutes or so from now. But a lot to talk about, Jamie. So let's start. Why don't you just tell me your number one takeaway, what jumped out to you, and then we can sort of work our way through either the chronology of the game or just focus on the offense and then talk defense.
Yeah, I think the people that kind of jumped out to me in the important phases of the game, Will Shipley looks like he's a player. Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Will Shipley looks like the ESPN White Michael Vick the cartoon.
Yes, I remember that very well.
Also, he does spell Mike K.
Yes. He looks like he's a player. I mean, I know you and Zach have chronicled that like pass protection hasn't been his forte in camp to this point.
He looked good. He did that tonight.
But he looked good. He stepped in that A gap. Ross Tucker was getting real horny for that A gap pickup on I think it was a 3rd and 10 where Pickett threw it behind John Ross, but they were able to pick it up, and that block was the difference in a first down right there. So really nice drive from him. He kind of impressed me. And then the other one, Trotter Jr. I mean, the instincts were there. You saw him, read and react to what was there, and he looked like he belonged. And in a preseason game, a small glimpse, that's all you can really ask for. So I think those two kind of jumped out at me the most.
The Clemson rookies. There you go. I actually thought all the running backs. We will get to Lew Nichols. What a performance from Lew Nichols. Leads the NFL in rushing success rate for all running backs this preseason with at least 5 carries. 7 carries for 21 yards. That doesn't tell the full story. Bunch of first downs, a nice touchdown run, a huge touchdown run. But I actually thought all the running backs for the Eagles looked good and probably better than their depth running backs have in a while. You wonder how much the offensive line is in control of that because they do have some good interior depth. But Tyrion Davis-Price looked good. I thought Kendall Milton had a little bit of a flash as well. But yes, Will Shipley, 7 carries for 23 yards, had the touchdown catch. I actually think the most important thing is what you said, that he showed that he had the willingness in pass pro that he struggled with in camp over the past week, but did an okay job on that tonight.
Yeah, I mean that's the quickest way to not find the field as a rookie is just to put your quarterback out to dry and potentially get him injured. So if he can look like competent in that regard in game tape, then that's a quicker way to get to the field. quick observation on the offensive line, Bo. You've been around the Eagles forever. Have you ever recalled an offensive lineman playing every single snap of a game?
No, it's wild. And Darian Kennard did that at right tackle. My guess is that so. What?
That has to speak well for him, right?
Oh, I don't think so.
No.
I think if a guy's playing the whole game, that's probably not good news for him.
Okay.
But it says that they trust him. The bigger thing is what it says about Aneem Dankwa, who should have been the third team right tackle, and I was expecting to be on the field with the rest of the guys who had the shift change. I'm guessing that means that they just didn't want Tanner McKee to get killed, and they don't think that Dankwa is ready to be in a regular game. It's either that, or they are just trying to hide him from the rest of the league, and they want to try to sneak him through to the practice squad. It's one of those two things, but that's the reason that Kennard played the entire game, is that they did not play Dankwa while they switched everybody else's positions.
Yeah, I don't ever recall seeing that. That's crazy.
All right, let's sort of work through piecemeal.
Yeah, sure.
Over the course of the game here. Now on offense, we were told there was reported ahead of the game that the starters were going to play limited action. That was the case on defense. It was not the case on offense, except for one player, but Jalen Hurts and almost the entire offensive line, and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert, those guys had the night off. Instead, it was Kenny Pickett with Will Shipley in the backfield, Johnny Wilson, Britton Covey, and John Ross getting some action. The offensive line was the twos, except for Mekhi Becton at right guard. He got the first series, and then Tyler Steen came in to play with the rest of the twos for the second series. What were you watching Mekhi Becton? Did you have eyes on him at right guard?
No, I actually didn't focus too intently on him. By the time the first series was over, I kind of blacked out and forgot to pay attention to him. So I wasn't focused on him. I was more focused on Kenny Pickett, actually.
What were your Pickett takeaways?
He's not good. I mean, wearing the glove, just entering the field of play with a glove on.
The aesthetics, yeah.
That is not a confidence instilling move. You just don't feel great about a guy with a glove on at quarterback. I think his furthest pass downfield was 10 yards.
Yeah. Kenny Pickett was 14 of 22 for 89 yards. So
and that was Johnny Wilson, I believe, right, on that first play for 10 yards.
I believe so, and he threw one downfield to John Ross. That was
horrible.
Yeah, I mean 4.1 yards per attempt is pretty heinous. Now it's the preseason.
Sure,
you're working with backup wide receivers, but I think you saw some of the aesthetic drawbacks and the style of play with Kenny Pickett tonight. Now he showed some nice pocket mobility, I thought. He is a little bit athletic.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought he wasn't terribly uncomfortable in the pocket, but he has to work so hard to get the ball out. And when he throws it over the middle of the field, he throws it hard, but it takes all of his effort. And then when he throws it outside the numbers, the ball just sort of floats. It is not driven. It doesn't get there in time, and it's not the most catchable pass either. And we can get to Tanner McKee, but boy, would I like to get a look at Tanner McKee with the twos in the preseason to see if it looks any different.
Yeah, you do wonder that. I was in the Discord that we have here at PHLY during the game, and people were saying the same thing. Man, I would have loved to have seen McKee, with the higher up units, because some of his guys could just not catch. I believe Kenny Pickett's arm is referred to as a candy ass arm. I wrote in my notes in the third quarter when Tanner McKee eventually got in, I saw two passes, and my note is, I'm already ready to declare Tanner McKee better than Kenny Pickett. He just had no zip on the ball. He wasn't leading his guys. Like you said, everything was just so laborious, to get it there. And there's no zip on it. Like the one third down pickup where Shipley picked up the block, even that was behind John Ross, and he kind of got lucky on that throw a little bit. There was really just nothing I saw from Kenny Pickett tonight that made me feel great. Outside of what you said, his mobility within the pocket, I thought was solid. But arm talent, nah.
Yeah, it's tough. Now, to be fair to both of them, if they're actually called into action in the regular season, you're going to get the starting AJ Brown and Devon.
Yeah, you can look a lot better with them. Yeah.
Give me a sec. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we're back. Yeah.
Okay.
Preseason for us too. Oh, hey guys, it's me, Jamie Lynch. Bo will be rejoining the show momentarily as we're having a little bit of a hiccup here. But shout out to everybody in the chat for joining us tonight. Greg MC, Mike, Hasan, Frank Barber, Shay, Steve, Jake, Uriel, Matt, Suplex City, everybody in the chat. Big shout out. Yeah, we got you, I think, maybe.
Give me one sec.
That's clear. But yes, everybody in the chat, shout out for joining us tonight. That was kind of a hilarious finish to an Eagles game there. We're going to get a lot into the running backs tonight as they have a couple gamers. Trotter Jr. had himself a game. And although we didn't see much of Quinyon Mitchell, every Eagles fan I know was very excited by that pass breakup he had that could have led to an interception. That was just a pretty route. That was something with him that just looked like he belonged. And granted, it's, maybe not the ones of the Ravens, but the fact that he was able to sit on the hip of his receiver, wait and time the jump of the route. I think that was something else that was really exciting about this game tonight was Quinyon Mitchell. So there's a lot of depth in the secondary. Trotter Jr. looked good tonight. Nakobe Dean made a play or two. Aeneas Smith, some of the younger guys that we haven't really gotten many looks at yet. He certainly did not have a stellar evening. Made a catch late there. But some of the young guys tonight showed up. Some didn't. And there's Bo again. Oh, we've switched to the AirPods from the wire.
Switch to the AirPods.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Long-time sickos will not be surprised that this has happened.
Yeah, this is a recurring theme of the
it's the mic. It's not the Wi-Fi. It's the mic. The mic just comes unplugged, and it's very finicky. Preseason for us too.
Yeah, those wired headphones. I've never been an Apple guy because I don't like the way they fit my ears. So I can't relate, but I could see a lot of problems coming from those wired dangling strings from your ears.
It's the mic. It's the plug.
But when you were out there, I was just talking about some other people that impressed a little bit tonight. Bo, Quinyon Mitchell. Now very small sample size, but that play, that patience to sit on the hip of his receiver,
nice play,
and jump a route like that, like he saw it all the way. That told you mentally between the ears, he was dialed the hell in. He looks. Again, you can't get too excited about one series and one play, but that was a veteran type of move from a kid, his first seconds in the league. So that was fairly exciting. And Kelee Ringo also, somebody in the chat yes. Just said Seth F with a great breakup in the end zone. And he was in position.
He was very good tonight. Yes.
Yeah, he was really good. So this is exciting. Like the secondary is going to have some talent in it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the difference between Kelee Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers that we have sort of seen over the course of camp is that when Isaiah Rodgers is probably more of a playmaker, his instincts are more to break on the ball, and he probably will end up, if they played the same amount of snaps, like with more interceptions or more pass breakups, but he is a little bit more susceptible to getting beaten deep. And Kelee Ringo, when he gets beat, he gets beat in front of him. I cannot remember Kelee Ringo getting beaten deep over the course of the summer. So it's kind of a style of play. Pick what you want.
Sounds like a Jim Schwartz perfect prodigy right there. Just get beat in front of you and keep everything in front of you. I say that
but what you saw tonight when he did give up a catch and he was in close coverage, it's sort of like an old Ronald Darby thing. That is like oftentimes when he gets beat, he is still close. So I did think that was a good sign.
And he seems to get his arms in on everything. This is fun. I mean, you saw Darius Slay on the sideline getting interviewed by Spuds during the game. Really cool stuff out of him. In terms of teaching the young guys, and I'll give it up when my time comes and all that. But when you look below and DeJean and the story about him and Quinyon sitting down after every practice and giving him mental reps and going through tape with them and stuff. So you look at DeJean and Mitchell and Ringo. I mean, those three alone are enough to excite you. And then you have a Slay and you have an Isaiah Rodgers. And then you still have like a Ricks, and like it's the deepest D-back room, at least on paper, I can recall in a very long time. That they invested highly in that, kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs did. And then they got a bunch of young talent, quick and athletic, and changed their secondary around. And I think that's what Howie's is going for here.
And we haven't even seen Cooper DeJean on the field this summer yet. So there's real reason to be excited about that group. I mean, the fifth corner this year is better than I've ever seen it be.
Yeah.
Right? They just
you
are
can
so
make the case
deeper.
they're better than the second or third in years past. Certainly last year with Bradbury.
It's tough. Now, Bradbury did play a bunch in this game at safety. I'm curious if Zach Berman is going to talk to him.
Did you have any takeaways from him at safety?
Afterwards. He didn't get much action, which sometimes for a safety means that he's in the right place and he's doing the right thing. But the ball did not go his way. He was not asked to do much, but he was out there. So, if you want to stick on the offense, Jamie, so the offensive line, without most of the starters, you had Darian Kennard playing the whole game, as you said, at right tackle.
That's
Brett Johnson at left tackle. Brett Toth at center, which he's been doing lately. And Trevor Keegan at left guard. I thought they all looked pretty good. Now, Becton and Steen both had some nice blocks. Steen ended up with a holding penalty that was a little bit ticky-tack. The Toth thing, I've been skeptical that he's going to make the roster just because he hasn't made the roster for so many years and he's been around the league. The league has said what they think about him, but he has had a very good summer. He has looked good in years past. He has had trouble snapping the ball when playing center, and that hasn't been a problem this summer. I think there's a real solid chance that he makes this roster. However, I do think that Dylan McMahon, who was the third team center tonight, is really good. I think he's going to be a good player, and he is a lock to make the team.
Yeah, and you saw a lot of running plays tonight too, probably more than you'll see in a typical Eagles game. So it was good. I think Keegan, like you said, kind of jumped off the page a little bit. Like he had a really quick first move and was kind of powerful. So yeah, I mean, look, the beauty of having Stoutland is you have confidence, right or wrongly, that whoever they bring in here, they have a system in place internally that they're going to be able to develop you into something competent. And, all of a sudden the second unit's in there and you're going, wow, these guys, look pretty good. So yeah, I agree with you. I think all game long, for the most part, there was really not many sacks in the game at all. And the Eagles offensive line looked the part for the backup.
I think the one time Pickett was sacked was on a corner blitz that was unblocked, which I think was on Pickett on the protection, which has actually been something we have seen in practice this summer. There have been a couple times where they've sent blitzes and it has looked like Pickett maybe didn't set the protection correctly.
There was two guys.
Another thing to follow in the quarterback depth chart. Now, let me ask you about the two rookie receivers. I know you were very excited to watch Johnny Wilson. What did you think of Johnny Wilson?
First series, I mean, he couldn't have started his Eagles career any better.
It was second play of the game, right? Nice little slant across the middle.
First play of the game, he pancaked a dude on a block.
That's right. Yeah.
So he got a pancake and a 10-yard reception right away. And then I think that was kind of the end of the Johnny Wilson story for the night. Not a lot else seen from him.
There was one ball thrown to him that was a little bit high from Pickett, and he dropped it and it hit his hands. But one where, given that like the great selling point of Johnny Wilson is that he has this big catch radius, you would hope that he would haul it in. But
yeah, didn't really get to see any opportunities in the red zone with him, which I was hoping for. But overall fine, I guess. He looked competent, not a speedster by any means. Big body, big target. So I think, from the Kellen Moore, scratch of the surface level offense we saw tonight, it looks far less boring. And he kind of schemes some guys open. So, Johnny Wilson just, it was fine. Not too excited.
Well, and you saw, with Britton Covey doing a few things, 4 catches for 25 yards. You saw how like the Covey-Wilson combination, these guys are two completely different skill sets that could turn into good enough for the third wide
Cogs
receiver.
for the system. Absolutely. Yeah, the Britton Covey stuff was interesting. He looks like he, studying the Cole Beasley tape all off season, and Kellen Moore knows how to use those type of small little dudes, find the pockets in the zone and stuff. So it did cross my mind late in the game. Aeneas Smith, probably not it. I wonder how he is very active in training camps. I wonder, the wide receiver 3, you always look to upgrade. John Ross, to me, I didn't really see any separation at all for a speedster tonight.
Yeah, I think you want to see, especially downfield, you want to see it. Now, that first one that Pickett threw, it did seem on Wiggins that he did have a step.
He did.
But later in the game, he did not. And when he's transitioning on his breaks, it is not super quick. He's not losing guys. And so I think if you're selling yourself on John Ross, it's just that he can, run flies. And I don't think that requires a roster spot. I think that could be a practice squad guy.
So we'll see, but I wouldn't be surprised if Howie's, fully making some calls, checking the waiver wire, and keeping an eye on potential wide receiver 3 upgrades. Because, do you want to go into week 1 in Brazil with Johnny Wilson as your slot receiver? I mean, who knows? Maybe given the opportunity, he'll excel, but he didn't jump off the page to me like that tonight where I go, oh yeah, week 1, let's go. John Ross didn't, you can probably upgrade that position.
And I do think you saw tonight with Aeneas Smith, what we have seen this summer is that the juice is just not really there. Even in the open field with live action tonight, as a punt returner, he was not able to shake free of guys. He didn't look explosive. And then he also fumbled the ball out of bounds. So not a good night for Aeneas Smith.
And there's some Juju Smith-Schuster chatter in the chat. I will just say absolutely no way in hell should they look at Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, just a kick in the pants for James Bradbury.
Well, not even so much that. I just think he stinks.
Probably so. I mean, it's not like the Patriots.
but it doesn't help that he's not liked in that locker room for clowning Bradbury on a really bad penalty call. So I would be.
The other thing I want to ask you about on offense, Jamie.
Yeah.
Is you mentioned how who was Ross Tucker getting horny for that you said?
That Will Shipley blitz pickup, I think it was.
The Will Shipley blitz pickup, yeah. Not the horniest thing we saw tonight.
Ooh, where did Ross get horniest?
No, it wasn't Ross. The horniest thing we saw tonight, I think, was Nick Sirianni getting the opportunity to have back-to-back hard counts trying to draw the defense offsides. This is his favorite thing in the world. And for him to have an opportunity in the preseason for them to rep that twice back-to-back, I mean, I just hope there was nobody standing near him on the sidelines and he turned around quickly because that could have got ugly.
Yeah, the hard count. Yeah, that was a great waste of about a minute and a half of our lives there. Yeah, the hard count should just be illegal. Come on, man.
Why do you think they call it a hard count?
Because Nick Sirianni was horny for it. Make of that what you will.
All right. Let's take a chance now to hear from our sponsors. With that lead in, let's talk about our friends at Rite Aid and the LO Market. Now at Rite Aid, you're going to Rite Aid for other stuff, presumably. Maybe you got some prescriptions to pick up. Maybe you're just walking around. You want to pop in. And if you do that, you have a nice opportunity to get a bunch of stuff for yourself that you need. I know you need, because the LO Market has all kinds of good stuff like candy, snacks, and pantry items that are available exclusively at Rite Aid. Products include classic candy like peach rings and starlight mints and gummy butterflies and sour worms. You've got nuts and trail mixes packed with vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, fiber, and protein, popcorn, buttery, sweet, salty, cheddar, sea salt. Now, Jamie, Zach and I have talked about this. Are you a sweet popcorn man? Are you a kettle corn man?
Yes, I am. I like all popcorns. Cheddar, kettle corn, all of it. Just butter, salt. I love popcorn in all shapes. Actually, the one I don't really mess with a lot is the cheddar. I go kettle corn over cheddar big time. White cheddar way better than orange cheddar. The orange cheddar I'm out on aggressively.
Kettle corn stinks.
Oh,
No
so
offense
good.
to,
So good.
oh no. Give me butter and salt all day long and only. I mean,
Oh, so good.
that is the
I have a
only
sweet
thing.
tooth. I have like 9 cavities, so give me the sweets.
Well, they've also got granola. They've got honey and seasonings and all other kinds of pantry staples that you need. So if you have a snack attack, get LO Market delivered same day or buy online, pick up in store. Go to riteaid.com/shop to order.
Yeah, and after you get a belly full of snacks and you're going to bed, the last thing you want to do, Bo, because I found myself in this doghouse 2 weeks ago, I was snoring all night. And I'm not a frequent snorer, but when I do, I go hard to the hole. And I woke up and she was pissed. And I was like, what? What did I do? You were snoring out of control last night. I slept like crap. We all slept like crap. And this is a very common thing across the world. Happy wife, happy life, happy husband, happy life. Well, if your significant other is snoring, it can ruin your night's sleep. And that's why you need to go see Dr. Andrew Cohen. He's a board certified in dental sleep medicine, and his staff will work one-on-one with you to provide first-class care to meet your needs. Many physicians aren't equipped to provide other options outside of CPAP machines. And more than anything, he just wants to see his patients healthy. And if you're tired of those CPAP machines that are cumbersome, loud, uncomfortable, all of that, go see Dr. Andrew Cohen, based right there in Jenkintown, not far from me. He's worked years to educate dentists across the country on his personal approach to helping those with sleep apnea. And his team is committed to stopping the snore. Tell him PHLY sent you and receive 15% off your initial workup. The process is a 2-hour exam split into 2 sessions. One is information gathering, medical history, and imaging. Second, they review the results and share recommendations. So if you're experiencing sleep apnea and are looking for a custom solution to stop the snore, reach out to Dr. Andrew Cohen at sleephealthypa.com or call 215-337-2501 and make sure you tell them that PHLY sent you.
All right, Jamie, let's talk about the defense now. And as opposed to the offense, Vic Fangio got his way, and the starters played in this game. On the defensive line, they played one series, thinking of Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Milton Williams. But the back seven, those guys played, now not included Reed Blankenship, but the rest of them, they played several series and most of the first half. So Devin White and Zach Bond at linebacker. We already talked about Kelee Ringo, but he was out there with Isaiah Rodgers with Quinion Mitchell in the slot. Quinion Mitchell later moved to the outside for a couple series. And then it was Avonte Maddox getting the start at safety. And then after the first series, it was Maddox and Bradbury together. What did you make of, White and Bond? Let's start with them at linebacker.
White jumped off the screen to me more than Bond did. I was impressed that he looked quicker than I expected. I don't know if that's because I came in expecting him to, be a guy that lost a step and is getting up there in his career, but he looked a little more explosive than I was expecting. So that was a good thing to see. Bond, as I said, didn't really jump off the screen at me, but I liked what I saw from Devin White. He was in there. He seemed to be in the right positions, all that stuff. I was okay with what I saw from Devin White. Can you fill me in a little bit about what you saw out of Bond? Because my eyes kept going to White as opposed to him.
Well, it's interesting because, there's like the perception that everything is vanilla in the preseason.
Sure.
But this is kind of the nice thing about having a crusty old defensive coordinator who doesn't care. I mean, they were blitzing all the time. Those linebackers were blitzing a ton, and even the corners blitzed sometimes. But both White and Bond were coming on blitzes, and then later Dean and Trotter Jr. as well. So that was interesting. And you saw, Devin White is good at coming forward, and I do agree that he was the one who flashed a little bit more. I would like to rewatch the game, but I would say that there were a couple times where it looked to me like Bond was out of position. This is, as we've talked about, a new position for him as a full-time player. So I don't know how long this experiment is going to last. I remain of the opinion that by midseason, if everybody's healthy, you might have Devin White and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as your linebackers.
Wow.
I thought Trotter Jr. was good tonight.
I thought he was really good. He was in the right spots all the time, came up with a sack. Did a really nice job shedding a block on a picked up blitz and then got the tackle downfield. He was instinctive. Zach's talked about instincts versus athleticism all the time. When I've talked to him during the off season, and Trotter Jr. is that. I've watched this kid back to high school, and he came up, living, eating, breathing football. It's second nature to him. So to see it translate to the field that quickly is really encouraging. You're right. I mean, he looked better than I expected. There was points I was like, oh man, is this kid even going to make the team? Just because he slipped so much, but he looked like he belonged. And that's really the only kind of eye test in these games, right? To us non-coaches is, does he look like he belonged? And Trot Jr. looked like he belonged in a pretty big way.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Sure.
Right? But I don't think there's any doubt that he looked good tonight in several different ways. Now, he wasn't tested a ton in pass coverage, which is probably going to be the bigger hang up for him moving forward because he's a little bit limited athletically and he's not the biggest. But coming forward and working his way around blocks and finishing plays, yeah, I thought he very much looked the part.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I did find myself, Bo, during the course of the game, kind of maybe they were blitzing because they don't have much natural pass rush. I did find myself wondering, where the sack's going to come from. We'll get into it, but I think the Hunt, Nolan Smith stuff was pretty intriguing. But what
was intriguing to you about Nolan Smith?
He looked like a different person physically.
You think so?
Yeah, I just thought he looked a lot bigger. His arms looked bigger. His shoulders looked bigger. I like that one play. He was kind of, chasing down the quarterback from the backside. He just looked like he keeps his eye on the ball at all times, and he's athletic.
Good for a hustle play.
Yeah. Very good on the hustle play. Didn't see any natural oh man, this guy's gonna have 8 to 12 sacks this year type of stuff. But again, he looked physically superior than he did last year. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway with him was, all right, look, he could be in a big role on this team if Bryce Huff isn't what they signed him to be, and he doesn't look like a 3-down play. At least he didn't look like a 3-down player in the small sample size. Where are the sacks going to come from on this team? You might need Milton Williams to be a 9-10 sack guy, and Josh Sweat didn't play tonight. So, you can count on him for what he is, but that's kind of the concern a little bit here is where the sack's coming from.
It's a good question. I think Jalen Carter is going to have to be the difference maker. I think he's going to have to be the guy who is responsible for most of their pass rush production, whether that is directly or indirectly. As Andrew in the chat says, Bo's going to slip and call Nolan Smith Marcus soon. That's not all the way far off from the way that I lean.
So you're more he's a Marcus than a.
I don't think he's a Marcus, and no shade on Marcus Smith, but the sack that Nolan Smith had tonight, it's in the third quarter of a preseason game against an undrafted rookie left tackle coming off the edge, and the guy wasn't expecting him to come. Let's calm down about that sack.
I'm with you on that.
Nolan Smith got pancaked by a tight end in the running game.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not great.
I think he is a role player, and Vic Fangio is going to have to find a role for him. But I don't think that he's the if Bryce Huff disappoints, I don't think that Nolan Smith is going to be the answer for who's your number 2 pass rusher.
So then I think the Eagles are in a little bit of trouble, if we're being honest. Josh Sweat kind of is what he is at this point. I think he's a fully baked pie. You'll probably get 7-8 sacks from him. Milton Williams, I think, is a guy, as somebody just said in the chat, contract year Milton Williams, which is really good for the Eagles getting some production out of him. I think we've all liked Milton Williams a lot, and he shows you a lot of potential. Can you chalk him up to a 10-sack guy? Not yet. And then, BG's there for the leadership in the locker room and setting an edge occasionally on rushing downs. Where, I mean, you said it, Jalen Carter's going to have to kind of be it. Otherwise, if Bryce Huff isn't what they signed him to be, they're going to be in trouble in the pass rush.
Now, the devil's advocate to that is that even if the pass rush is not as good as it has been in years past, the secondary should be better, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a push-pull there. And, they're always this is like
Coverage
the classic
jacks, baby.
Howie Roseman thing. Like there's, those things work in concert. And so even if our secondary is not the best, well, we've got this pass rush. That's great. That's going to get the ball out quicker. Well, now if all of a sudden you have a pass or a secondary that is better, then maybe it's okay if the pass rush takes a bit of a step back. I don't think that's really what Howie Roseman thinks deep in his bones.
But it's a nice insurance policy.
It is a nice insurance policy. I also think that tonight was another example of the fact that the starters played on defense, everybody except for Darius Slay. Dick Fangio's power in terms of just the weight that he carries. I think it's pretty clear. Vic for the most part, I think is going to get what he wants.
Yeah, it does appear. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Yeah, Vic probably said, no. I am old school, and these guys are going to play. And, maybe the part of that is just getting accustomed to him up in the booth and communicating with the coaches that are on the sidelines but how much are you doing to that in one or two series? It's kind of the thing. The two concerns, and look, I'm not trying to make too much of a preseason game, but the two things I'm going to keep an eye on, and I think Howie Roseman will probably at some point address in some regard, is possibly pass rush and wide receiver 3. I think those are the two, Achilles heels early on here in camp. I mean, what have you been seeing from Bryce Huff in camp? Is there?
There's no doubt that he has had a quiet camp. Now, I actually think that Hassan Reddick had a pretty quiet camp his first time here as well.
Okay. I remember that. Them saying no, he's close. Just give him a couple weeks. He's close.
And part of that is the fact that you have to go up against Lane Johnson every day in practice.
That's a good point.
That's tough. But I also I think it has been a little bit underwhelming, just the way that Bryce Huff moves, the power. You haven't seen exactly what you would have wanted to see. But I think he is at a place where I'm willing to trust the sample size a little bit more than just what we've seen so far.
Yeah. I mean, these are just the two, things I look at and go, okay, if there's improvements to be made, and not that they're going to go out. And somebody in the chat said, I think my bold prediction is how he's going to go get Joey Bosa. I don't think anything that'd be great, except for his off the field views and ideologies. But those are the two things I look at. I think wide receiver 3 is a very clear.
Bosa would want that trade because then he could vote in Pennsylvania.
I think wide receiver 3 would be the more realistic of the two to try and upgrade, prior to week 1.
Now, I'm just looking through my notes. We should say that Rodgers was beat by Keith Kirkwood on a sort of a dig route over the middle of the field. That was not his best coverage. I thought so. Ringo did have a better night. What did you think of Jalix Hunt? Your first time getting eyes on him?
Again, didn't jump off the screen a ton to me. I was more focused on Nolan Smith. I did like the athleticism of those two kind of being the
I like the way that Hunt moves.
Yeah, the athleticism between the two of them on the field, I think, was the thing to look at. And Hunt, he's an athlete, you see the fluidity in his movements. He's quick out there, kind of tall and lanky. I don't know how much he's going to be playing come week 1, if at all, but I think I see why they were intrigued by him.
Yeah, he made a really nice play early on where he was actually in coverage, and you saw, maybe the remnants of his safety instincts where he came off his coverage and then made the tackle on the guy who caught the ball. I thought that was a really nice play. I like the way that he's built. I'm interested in Jalix Hunt. I think there's reason to believe. And if I'm getting really ahead of my skis and you want me to make I've said this to Zach before, my
bold
a take that I'm not going to be on the record for. This is a freebie. I think Jalen Hunt's going to have a better career than Nolan Smith. I think he's going to have more sacks for the Eagles than Nolan Smith.
I like that. That's a spicy one. So one that's not on the record. That's just off the record.
No, that's just two guys shooting the S.
Barroom talk, guys.
Off the record.
Weird.
Yeah. On background.
I mean, I like it.
Now, Nakobe Dean, I thought, had a solid game tonight.
Solid, yeah.
He had a nice PBU, forceful tackle, reading the guy, meeting the guy as the ball came. I thought, and he also had a nice little pass rush. So a solid night for Nakobe Dean, I thought.
Yeah, he looked competent. It's weird, year 3, and we really haven't seen the kid play at all. It's a weird feeling to, they drafted him. They moved on from guys and were giving him the, the green dot and all that. And I still have no idea if the guy can play. And, it was a small baby step towards competence. We'll see what happens.
And then my last note on defense here, good game for Tristan McCollum at safety. He was all over the place, flying around. I like a Tristan McCollum.
That's a good name, Tristan McCollum. Sounds like a ball player, like a hoops player, though, more than a football player.
Yeah.
Maybe that's CJ McCollum, recently bias.
Yeah.
But maybe. I don't know. What did you think of the new kickoff television coverage? Now they do the box in picture, kicker in the top right, and then they have the other camera panned on the kind of 40-yard line and in, I guess, receiving zone. Quite an adjustment.
Sorry, Zach is texting me. I'm trying to respond to him.
He's in his element.
I was
right
pretty
now,
underwhelmed with the kickoff, the whole thing. I mean, we'll see what it looks like in the regular season, but like I did not watch it and was like, oh, the NFL has solved this. All of a sudden, it's an exciting play again. Like, if they wanted, all they had to do was just move the kickoff line back. If they wanted there to be more returns, like,
yeah, I can see why it's safer. Guys are only getting a 15-yard kind of head start there on the run. Quite weird though, the actual coverage of it, like the box in box and seeing a kicker, and Scott Graham and Ross were talking about it. They were like, yeah, this is going to take some getting used to. Very, very weird, but apparently safer. And Arthur Bo Wulf Smith, I agree. My head does look huge on StreamYard, so I also noticed that. But I do have a big head. 7 and 5.
I think it looks normal.
Normal? Okay. I got a 7 and 5/8 dome, so it like.
Now, you and I have not done a StreamYard together before, so I'm not as familiar with your background here.
Oh, yeah.
Who's that shirtless gentleman over there?
That is Elvis putting out the sexy vibes. That is
nice.
Last Show at the Spectrum, Pearl Jam, Bad Religion.
Oh, okay.
And then over here, we got a little Preservation Jazz Hall from New Orleans. New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans.
Yeah. If you ever get back to New Orleans, though, and you haven't done Preservation Jazz Hall, do it. It's awesome.
Well, if the Eagles hand the ball to Tanner McKee, maybe we're going to be there in February.
I mean, there's no doubt he's deserving of the team's backup quarterback job. Like, I don't need to see anything else. I can declare, stamp it, whatever the hell you want to call it. Tanner McKee is better than Kenny Pickett.
I mean,
any argument?
This is like the meme of us holding hands because
is Zach the Pickett guy?
I'm with you.
What's going on here?
Well, I mean, he likes the chicken vodka wrap, but
I mean, who doesn't?
All right, let's talk about our friends at Miller Lite. As Zach works his way up from the locker room, we know that a lot has changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it's less filling. So what is the best thing about the original light beer? Miller Lite sparked this debate all the way back in 1975, and guess what? 75, what is that?
25 plus 24, 49?
49 years later?
49
we still haven't settled it. Unbelievable. But guess what? It doesn't matter. Because if you want it for the great taste, have a Miller Lite. If you want it because it's less filling, have a Miller Lite. Why not have both? Por qué no los dos? Miller Lite keeps it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. 96 calories! That's basically a salad.
Yeah, good
It's
for
the
you.
beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer, less filling, and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. You do not have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY birds. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
I'm with you, Greg MC. He says, I'm back on the Miller Lite train. PHLY advertising has gotten me, and I'm rarely a victim of advertising.
Sucking them back, baby.
Yeah, welcome back. 96 calories. I've been slugging them all summer. It's delightful. You don't feel like a fat lard walking around the golf course and the community pool. So welcome back, Greg MC. Good to have you on board. And while we're here, Bo, let me tell you about our friends at Indeed. We all know Indeed, whether we've used it to search for jobs. Well, this is if you perhaps own a small business or your company. If you want to find the best candidates quickly in the easiest fashion, you need Indeed because they're driven by the search for better. And when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search. Match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch all that busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, messaging, so you can connect with the right candidates faster. And they leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day to match better. And they're constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. All listeners of this show can get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/allcity. Just go to Indeed.com/allcity right now to support our show. And by saying you heard about us you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Indeed.com/allcity. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire, you need Indeed.
Jamie, with 3:23 left in the first quarter, it was 2nd and 3 for the Eagles on the Baltimore Ravens 25-yard line. Kenny Pickett was in shotgun, and he handed the ball off to Lew Nichols, who went to the right guard for 3 yards. First down. 1 carry, 1 first down. Later, in the second quarter, on 2nd and 9 from the Eagles 26, 2nd and 9, 9 yards to go, Lew Nichols takes a handoff and shotgun for 7 yards. 7 yards on 2nd and 9, another success. Then on 3rd and 2, Lew Nichols goes up the middle for just 1 yard. Stuffed. I think that might be the only unsuccessful run. Although maybe that counts because it's half of the yards to go. Yes, this is the only one. 2nd and 9, Lew Nichols goes for 3 yards. But then after that, Kenny Pickett gives him a little dump off for trying to make Lew Nichols' box score look bad. -1 yards. That's Pickett's fault. Yeah. Then you get to 4th and 1. 4th and 1. Who do you give the ball to when it matters?
I mean, there's only one answer.
2-yard gain for Big Lew, sweet Lew. And then later in the drive, 1st and goal from the 5. Lew Nichols takes it down to the 2-yard line for 3, and on the next play, he punches it in. Let's hear it in the chat. Lew, 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 Lew. Louis baby.
Lewd.
Ooh, yeah. Lewd and lascivious. Yeah, New World Order.
What was it at camp that made? Was there one play that you look back on and you go, that's the one that you became my 2024 crush?
Not one play. It was a culmination of a few plays. I thought there were a few times in the muck between the tackles where you either have it or you don't. Like the make you miss there. Just the little sidestep away from the tackler, a little sidestep. He has that. I've seen some sort of willingness to drop the shoulder. Now, I do have to say, honestly, Tyrion Davis-Price looked good today, better than he has in camp.
Really nice patient cut on that one run. Yeah.
Yes, he was running hard, and I'm sure when Zach comes on in a few minutes, all he's going to want to talk about is Will Shipley. We've said he looked fine too, and Kenny Gainwell had a good first drive. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about Lew. And unfortunately, I feel bad. I may have gotten in EJ Jenkins' head because he had a drop tonight. So
yeah. Well, accountability, Bo. Accountability. It's preseason for all of us. And so what I was reading on Lew earlier, and he was drafted last year, and they signed him this year. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the backstory about how he came to us?
7th round pick of the Green Bay Packers last year, suffered an injury in the summer, and they put him on IR, and then they waived injured him, and he was actually on the Eagles practice squad by the end of last season.
Okay, so he was around the year.
And now they're getting a look at him, and I think it is actually telling that he was the guy after Gainwell and Shipley left. He's ahead of Davis-Price and Kendall Milton on the depth chart. So
what's your projection here? Are we talking practice squad guy? Does he have
I think it's probably most likely that he's on the practice squad or a practice squad, but I don't know. I don't think it's crazy for them to carry 4 running backs necessarily, especially if they're going to only carry 5 wide receivers and 3 tight ends.
Speaking of running backs, another observation I have is Kenny Gainwell is a kick returner. Why? I feel like we have more dynamic, explosive
Give him reps. Become a diehard.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I feel like I hate on Kenny Gainwell, but I really just I don't know. I don't see.
Oh, his name's Gainwell. It's not Returnwell.
It's a really good point. I don't know. I don't see much from him. Like I'd almost rather run with your boy and Will Shipley.
Interesting.
I mean,
I think he's trustworthy. He's going to be on the team, so he's somebody who probably needs reps there. But I don't think that's a crazy take.
Yeah, but
Zach is still working his way back. He says he's waiting for the elevator. Then he says stadium map is crazy. Now they have moved the press box.
This is a muscle memory. He has to explore and find his way back. This is all new.
He says, but 1 floor away. We're closing the show in an hour unless he's back.
Do you think he's found his AirPods, or do you think we're getting the on ear again?
Oh, I think we're getting the headphones.
The full show.
Yeah.
Now, Reed, his son, will not.
I think this is a good test of Zach's problem-solving ability. Don't you think?
I'm impressed that he had backup headphones on him. To be honest with you, that's
not problem-solving. That's preparation. No one's going to be more prepared than Zach.
Yeah.
But let's see how he reacts when can he audible? How does he read the defense when he's getting unscheduled looks?
Yeah, new press box. This is uncharted territory. What do you think?
Anybody can run the play that you rep.
So Zach well, and you know the way he moves in a locker room. Where is Zach headed in the locker room tonight? Like, what does the journalistic beam? What drew him in tonight, or who?
Well, he's gonna want to talk to Shipley.
Okay,
because that's his guy. He can introduce himself, give him a nice firm handshake. He'll be excited about that. I think now a lot of the stars would not have been in the locker room, right? They will have left early. But if he's still around, my guess is that Zach would have talked to James Bradbury, because this is an interesting story for him. Having to play into the second half at a new position for a guy who was all pro 2 years ago. I think that'll be a story that Zach is interested in. I think he will want to talk to Becton and Steen if he can.
Okay.
Trotter Jr. would be a person that he would seek out for sure. Local guy, loves that.
He loves that.
Ringo, was a good night for Ringo. And then he's going to want to search out the Will Greer locker in case he has to go to the bathroom, and he can maybe pee in there. He's gonna be so upset when he hears that.
I don't know the backstory there. Is this a sit down to pee conversation?
No, it's just I tease him for not liking Will Greer.
Oh, okay.
Really low-hanging fruit. He's kicking a dead horse. Guy's the fourth quarterback.
Yeah. Have you broached the sit or stand P topic in the Eagles locker room before ever?
I think just with Brandon Brooks when he came in.
He was the only one. All right. I was wondering how deep that went.
How did I disappoint you, Jericho?
Johan Rojas just tied it up for the Phils here. On
With a home run?
Another note. Yeah. We got prime time in Paris. We got Phils on Friday night. It's bumping. 8th inning for the Phils.
Oh, Zach is here. Let's bring him on.
Oh, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach Berman. How you doing?
Hello. Hey, I'm well. Sorry to keep you guys waiting.
AirPods are back.
Yeah, the AirPods. Sorry I had to keep you guys waiting. I was trying to get up to this press box as quickly as I could. It was not as quick as I would have liked, but I got a lot of stuff in the locker room. Was there for a good chunk of Nick Sirianni, and the part that I missed, he was raving about Lew Nichols. Apparently, I was just talking to
really?
Yeah. So I left with 2 questions to go so I can get up here. But it was one of those things where there's no staircase up. I was waiting at the elevator, and they said that I saw a few other reporters come, and they said that answer was for Bo Wulf. Nick was raving about Central Michigan film. So, yeah, you got to check that out. But, I mean, why would I miss this up?
The Lew Nichols gas?
I mean, I don't like missing anything. I was trying to get up here because you said you had 20 minutes left in the show. I had to get up here. But I spoke to Will. I spoke to the superior running back, Will Shipley. I spoke to Quinyon Mitchell. I spoke to Isaiah Rodgers. I spoke to Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I spoke to Patrick Johnson about that strip sack that he had.
What a play!
What a play! And so, I was there for Nick Sirianni. Asked Nick a few questions. So let me know where you want to start, because I got a lot of things I can discuss. But
tell us what you asked Nick, what you heard Nick say first.
Well, the big thing people want to know about the playing time. Nick said that part of that was weather related. They expected the weather to be a little rainier than it was. They expected a slicker field, so that's why they held a lot of the offensive guys back. As far as the defense, he said the operation's different for the defense than it is for the offense, but he held back the older players for the defensive side. Did
he explain was the weather a factor in his decision on whether to play the starters or not?
Yes. Oh, you're being funny. Gotcha. All right, you have a good sense of humor, bro. I did ask him though about Mekhi Becton's playing time, okay? Because I wanted to know why. I feel bad for everyone in the press box here because I knew I had to get on. I'm not in I'm not in one of those radio booths. I'm just in the back. So,
so let's really try to make him say something embarrassing, Jimmy.
Yeah.
So
they can deal.
So sorry about that. I don't know if they can deal, to be honest with you.
Who are we talking about? Locals or out of Baltimore people?
Everyone. And rightfully so. They're all on deadline here. Mekhi Becton. So I asked about Mekhi Becton. And the answer there was he said that because he said O-line work in camp is like similar to what you get in the games. He said there's no tackling, but you're still being physical, helmet to helmet, that kind of thing, every play. They wanted to get Mekhi Becton work at right guard because he hasn't played before, but they felt one drive was enough. And he said we'll see this week in New England what position he plays, how much he plays next week. He was asked about Tyler Steen's playing time, and he said Tyler Steen's a different case because he's coming off injury. I think we can read between the lines here, though, similar to what Bo said, that Mekhi Becton is in the lead here for sure.
Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell's
also say that it's Friday, August 9th.
Yeah, Quinyon Mitchell's playing time. Quinyon Mitchell, he said that because Quinyon played inside and outside, said that Quinyon was their outside in, base defense, if you will, right? Like and so that was the approach they had. So the way the Ravens came out, that's how they set it up. I spoke to Quinyon Mitchell after the game, and he said that he should have gotten the interception. He said that it was good he got a hand on the ball. He should have gotten the pick. He
Beautiful
said.
play though.
Yeah, very nice play.
Did he
And
say that the route was trash?
he did not comment on the nature of the route. No.
Mm.
So spoke to him there. Yeah, Patrick Johnson. Now I was actually down in the bowels of the stadium at that point. I was watching on my phone because I wanted to make sure that I got in that locker room, dealing with a new press box situation, like we mentioned on the pregame show. I didn't want to leave anything up for chance. I didn't want to be late for anything, so I went down with Dave Zangaro with like 2 minutes to go.
A lot of pop you're giving to Dave Zangaro on both shows today.
Is that right? Sorry, I'm just I'm kind of going on adrenaline here as well, right? So the explanation. So I saw Patrick Johnson's play on my phone, but I heard the crowd roar when he got that strip sack. He said he knew they were going to pass there. He enough time on the clock that he figured they would take a shot.
We were joking on the edge for the play, Zach. It's such a classic Harbaugh move to go for that there.
Yeah,
like he loved preseason wins. You knew he was going to try for it, so that's why he bought Patrick Johnson.
Well, who plays for a tie besides Doug Peterson? Sorry,
wow,
I asked him if that's a play that he'd make year 1, year 2, and he said that he would like to think so, but he's better now than where he was before. Will Shipley just felt real grateful to be out there. That was the sentiment he had, like how fortunate he is to play in the NFL. Thought, that long drive there was a high volume drive for him. And actually, Nick Sirianni specifically singled out Will Shipley in like his first answer about kind of players who made an impression on him tonight. But he said that's real good for his endurance level. He's continuing to work on his pass protection, right? I actually think he had a good pass block tonight.
Yes.
Asked him about that. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. The first play he was. Yeah, I agree. The first play he was on the field was that special teams play. He gets the stop there, and he said that really gave him momentum. The sack that he had, I thought it really just a good job chasing. And I asked him what he proved tonight. He said he proves something every time he's on the field, right? But he showed tonight that he belongs, and I think that's absolutely accurate. I asked Isaiah Rodgers. We talked before in the pregame show about the tweet that he had with the exact amount of time since he last played a game. I thought it'd be cool. Like, is this something that's, does he have like a sheet of paper or something in his room, like a countdown clock, that kind of thing? He said he actually had to Google it this morning. But he felt really grateful to be out there. He's a totally different person than when he played in December 2020. That was a sentiment. December 2022. That was a sentiment that he shared there. So those were a few of the other guys I was able to speak with, but happy to take any of your questions, as the head coaches typically say.
Zach, I'm trying to remember. It's hard for me to come up with this. I'm blanking. Danielle Fishel played who on Boy Meets World?
Topanga.
Topanga, thank you. I just wanted.
Yeah, why is that relevant?
Well, I just wanted the rest of the press box to hear you say Topanga.
Well, there's serious journalists here doing serious work. Okay, I just want to make that abundantly clear.
How about just your view of the game? What were your takeaways? Who else popped for you as an analyst, not as a reporter?
Sure. Yeah. I appreciate the question. I was trying to give the flavor of the locker room first. Quinyon.
I'm presuming that most of the starters were gone, right? In the locker room.
Yeah, or like getting dressed, getting dressed, that kind of thing. I was trying to get guys, for this story. We talk to the starters a lot during the week, right? I'm trying to get guys for some of these takeaways. But Quinyon Mitchell was my big takeaway. I was real impressed with the way he played. I thought that on that first drive, especially, but then he continues in the game. I thought he was sticky in coverage. I thought he was active to the ball. I had my binoculars. I was clued in on him. And, he showed versatility. There's a lot to like there about Quinyon Mitchell's game. I joked about Will Shipley, but I did. I thought Will Shipley showed some juice. I thought, let me see here in my notes. Oh yeah, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Like you said, Trotter Jr. really stood out. I thought Jalen Hunt popped a bit. I don't know if you guys talked about that. I like the way
So
Jalen
Zach,
Hunt
that
played.
was actually going to be my question. Was Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt were out there a lot together, and it's kind of some supreme athleticism there with the two of them. We got into a discussion about the both of them. What jumped off the page about? I just said Nolan Smith physically looked like a different person. He looked bigger. It was noticeable on TV. And Hunt, just really fluid athlete. You can see why they're intrigued by his possibilities.
Yeah, so I appreciate you saying that, because honestly, one thing that I have to keep in mind is that like the first preseason game is really the first time fans are seeing these guys, right? So
Yeah.
I've been watching Nolan Smith for 2.5 weeks, so like him looking bigger does not resonate with me the way it would fans watching this for the first time. You're absolutely right. He added 8 pounds of muscle. He reshaped his body. He was out in California this offseason, drinking $38 smoothies. And
38 hours.
Hanging out with Aaron Rodgers and talking about how men aren't men anymore.
I don't know if he was talking about that. Was he talking about that?
I believe he was saying that, yes.
What's in a $38 smoothie?
Well, that's what he was wondering too, or maybe it was $28. Had an 8 at the
Probably
end.
dolphin semen if he was hanging out with Aaron Rodgers.
That's a luxury in Japan.
Yeah, that did not come up. So the sack that he had, I thought on that sack, obviously it was unblocked, but he showed real good closing speed, acceleration there. What you want to see from him? I thought Jalen Hunt was active, right? I thought he had active hands. I thought he was, I thought he was around the ball. So I liked what I saw from Jalen Hunt. I was not clued in on the defensive tackles. I did not get as much on the D tackles as I was watching. I have to watch it back for that.
What about the quarterback, Zach?
Yeah, so I wasn't as impressed with Mekhi, but it wasn't all on Mekhi. For instance, he had a pass down the right sideline to Joseph Ngata, where I thought it was a well-placed ball. I thought Ngata didn't make the adjustment that he should have made on it. I thought Pickett played with good tempo. They were able to move the ball in that second drive. It was an extended drive, but I didn't think that Pickett really stretched the defense at all either, right? So, if you looked at halftime, everything was sub 10 yards, sub 11 yards in terms of pass completion. So that they didn't really stretch, but he played within the offense. I for full disclosure, I was not at his press conference. I was in the locker room. I'm going to listen back on the ride home to get a sense of what he said about how the game went.
Are you driving home?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We had some requests in the chat for you to tweet out when you're home. My mom always asks me to text home when I get home, Zach. So if you could just tweet out home, I think a lot of the listeners would find that helpful.
I think that would be nice.
Well, actually, what I was thinking of doing, I don't know why we need to talk about this on here. What I was thinking of doing, though,
where else would we talk about it?
Is so I do this hit, which is a big part of me being here. I'm going to do the training camp in 60. I'm going to do the video,
which I've been loving. They're great stuff.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And then I was thinking of getting in the car and driving back, and in the car, kind of thinking through what am I gonna, then because I can listen to the press conferences again. I can't transcribe, obviously, in driving, but I can listen through. I can formulate some thoughts, and then I can write when I get home. Now, the downside to that is the story then goes up at 2:30, 3 o'clock instead of 12:31 a.m. But I tend to think
not a big difference for the readers. Yeah,
we're not getting a huge reading audience at 12:31 a.m. tonight. So,
Zach, as a reader of yours, I will read it tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking.
I'm going to sleep like a normal person tonight.
Yeah. So there is, there's I will get home. If I leave here at 12:30, I'll get home 2:30. I'll finish writing at 3:30. 4, post that, and then I think there's a pillow and a blanket on the couch for me downstairs to sleep in, so I don't wake everyone up.
Nice.
And then
We talking basement couch or like living room couch?
I'll see when I get. Yeah, probably just living room couch. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else from the game you want to know?
Yeah. There is one other thing, because it's almost midnight. I am losing it a little bit. The woman from I know what you did last summer in Party of Five. What's her name?
Her name was Jennifer Love Hewitt. I don't want to say that too loud. Yeah. So overall, though, like I did ask about Jake Elliott, right? Because
Okay.
Jake missed an extra point. He missed a 50-yard field goal. Now Nick said, and of course I know this. Nick said, I don't watch the field goals, right? I'm like, yeah, but you're down there. You're talking to Clay. Like you know
That
what's
is a
going on.
great flex of course, I know this.
Yeah, too important. I don't have to watch the field goals.
No. That's his like superstition thing.
Okay.
But he said that
Was he wearing pants, by the way?
Yes, he was. Yep.
Okay.
Joggers. Yeah. And
I don't like
so,
the sneakers with the laceless sneakers. On another note.
Oh, really? Oh, I think it's great. You don't
Nah.
chew up the laces. You don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Are you supposed to eat the laces?
No, it's in a figure of speech. I have a pair of shoes that has like the bungee laces. Those things are great. You don't even have to tie them. You just have to, pull it down.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
great.
very pro slip on. Just I don't like the look of them.
Yeah, you're a big flip flop guy. Yeah.
Yeah, every day.
Everyone here is working hard. Must be wondering what I'm talking about here. Big flip flop guy. So he said he's not concerned about Jake Elliott. He's glad Jake's getting out of his system here, honestly. And he said he doesn't anticipate seeing Clay not celebrating field goals this season. But it is something. It's the last time Jake signs a big contract, he had his worst year, right? So
that's true.
You never know. Just something to think about here. Yeah.
All right. Well, Zach, we will let you go. You got a long road ahead. So thank you for giving us the due diligence. And that's all we got. You look good.
Yeah, I want to say, so there'll be a story up tomorrow morning on allphly.com with some takeaways from this game, some insight from the locker room, some analysis here. Bo and I are back on Monday, and then a huge day on Tuesday. Huge day, one of probably the biggest day of training camp for the Eagles, and that's the joint practice with the New England Patriots. So, so make sure you're following along all the way.
Last thing, because I know that there are some people who only listen to the post-game show who didn't listen to the kickoff show. We did learn in the kickoff show that you are wearing underwear, boxers or boxer briefs or tighty whities.
Always boxer briefs, man. Come on.
Hey. Zach, you were a wonderful sport. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you guys.
Don't forget to tweet when you get home.
Yes. All right.
When you get home. Everybody's
I think that's a good way to end it. So go to allphly.com for Zach's thoughts on the game. I'm going to go fire up this Nick Sirianni press conference to find out what he's saying about my man Lew Nichols.
Yeah, this is a big night for you. Does anybody do whitey tighties? Still?
It would be hard to believe, right?
Like you've seen the other side, right? Like the boxer brief is the far superior option.
Yeah. Now, do you sleep in boxer briefs, or do you? Sometimes I'll go to a looser boxer for the sleep.
Sometimes I'll go commando in a pair of shorts. But yes,
okay. Same idea.
Yeah, I have like sleeping shorts that I don't really wear out. So same idea. Okay. Yeah, a little looser. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I wonder what Lew Nichols does. Maybe I'll have to ask him.
I mean, whatever it is, it's gold. Although, actually, if you think about it, the Central Michigan is the Golden Flashes, which is something entirely different.
What's a flash?
Maybe it's like crotchless gold underwear.
Hey, did you get attracted to him because he has a third in there? That seems like a very Bo type of thing.
No, because I was also, Thomas Booker IV was also on my radar. But no, it's just I trust what I see.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the Phillies just got walked off on a home run. So
I saw that.
That's a perfect.
Who gave it up?
I wasn't. I was paying attention to you and Zach and laughing at the sophomoric things you were trying to make Zach say. So I didn't actually see who was pitching.
Okay. Well, you are a good sport. Zach is a good sport. Thank you for joining us, Jamie.
The birds are back.
We will be back on the PHLY Eagles show on Monday at 2:00. Tuesday, as Zach said, a big day for the Eagles as they have the joint practice with the New England Patriots. We will see if that can be at 2:00. We may have to push it back a little bit depending on the time of your practice, but we will have your full coverage both on wherever you find your podcasts, on YouTube, and on allphly.com. Don't forget to be a diehard so you can read all that we have to offer. And in case you didn't hear about it yesterday, the Ospreys are coming in about 2 weeks, August 22nd, 13 days from today. Stay tuned. It's going to be a big one. So for all of us here at PHLY, for Jamie and JP for running the ship, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you on Monday. And as always, we love you.